All right, my loves. So here's a little teaching on your highest gene expression, the expression of your highest level and form of DNA that can be expressed through your physical vessel. So the activation of your highest level, again, of gene expression that possibly you have never accessed or embodied in this lifetime. So when people talk about a remembering of who you truly are or being activated to remember that on a soul level and then allow it to be expressed through your physical body, that's what they're talking about, okay? And I just want to tell you right now that I am not in my highest gene expression. I have been at times. And also, the reason is environment right now for me. Okay, so I'm just going to be so clear on that. But that doesn't mean that I can't teach it and that I haven't been there and that I haven't seen the contrast, because that is also incredibly powerful. And so there's so many things that I have experienced, that I have moved through, that I have embodied, and also went back to certain environments and then started vibrating according to that environment or expressing myself according to that environment and my body changing according to the energy of that environment. So that's a very real thing. And it's not good or bad. It's just for you to be able to see yourself in all these transformational processes, okay? And so that being said, our goal, I believe, in this lifetime is full expression of who we truly are on a soul, spirit, heart level, all of it, okay? So full activation of our highest potential, of our highest gene expression, the highest DNA, the DNA fully activated to the highest energy, vibration, frequency level that it can be, okay? So you're probably thinking, well, how do I get there? Look back on your journey and know where you've come from, because a lot of you have shed so much stress, trauma, and wounding already. So can you celebrate how freaking far you have come? Okay. And know by looking back that your energy has totally shifted, that your life has totally shifted, that you're more you now than you were 6 months ago, than you were a year ago, than you were 2 years ago. And sometimes we do return to what I would say past environments to collect some higher wisdom and knowledge, to observe how the people around us, possibly our family that we incarnated into, or past lovers, or whatever it might be, past work environments, look at how they're living and say, do I choose this? Do I choose this reality? Let me just go back in and observe, not with judgment, but saying this is a reality that they are living out, and do I choose that? And I just want to say something on a side note, because here's the thing, is people will accept you when you're living similar to them, okay? And many times they will kick back at you when you start rocking the boat and say, I'm doing it differently. This doesn't work for me. And many times you will be kicked out energetically of those spaces, those work environments, those places, because you're not aligned with what the people are doing there. Like, it doesn't work for you, so like, why would you even stay? And they don't want you there either, because energetically it's just not a match. Got it? And though if you have that wound that I have and had so strongly in the past of wanting to be chosen, okay, and I've done so much work around letting that go, around belonging, and just saying, I choose me. And I know that there are certain environments that I do not belong in, because they are not good for me, they're not healthy for me, they're not the right energy for me, so I'll just remove myself when I find myself there, okay? But that trauma, that wound, that whatever of like wanting everyone to choose you, and so kind of begging at times in certain spaces and places to belong there when it was never right for you anyway, okay? And you learn this along the way, and then you start putting yourselves in places that are actually a match for you and around people that are actually a match for you, okay? And it's not that you can't enjoy for a day, a weekend, a week, or whatever, like time back in an old environment, of course you can, but you know if you stay there long term, that it is going to cost you. It is going to cost you your health, possibly your wealth, your well-being, like you'll take on more stress, you'll take on other people's traumas, burdens that are not yours to carry. Got it? And also that part of this is mastery of like holding your own in some of those places as well. Okay, so learning how to hold your vibration no matter what. And yet again, over time, you become your environment, and we cannot deny that. Okay, so you can't be healthy in an unhealthy environment. You cannot be healthy in a toxic environment. Eventually, that is going to infect your body, affect your mind, infect your mind, the negativity, the whatever that is. It's going to affect you. And so let us not deny that. Okay. And know that you always have choices. So there are like a million realities playing out here, and you get to decide which reality you are going to attune yourself to, that you believe, that you are going to live, and all of that, which is like a whole nother video that I could break down some of the realities that I see playing out here. Okay. So all that being said, back to your highest gene expression. So obviously you have DNA that was passed down from your family, and there are really good parts about that DNA. And then there are things like death, disease, and illness that you have seen play out in your family line. Okay. And at some point, I think if you're watching this video, you have said, that's not going to be me. Like, I'm not going to be the one to carry the cancer gene anymore, or the dementia gene, or the depression, the anxiety, the whatever that is. Like, I am going to break those cycles, and I'm going to do that by changing my lifestyle, by releasing, healing, moving through the trauma, the burdens, everything that was passed down to me from the family line and that I picked up from childhood and from the relationships I've had, the work environments I've been in, all of that, okay? Because until you actually heal and release and get rid of that shit, you are going to see it play out in your work environments, in your relationships, in your family dynamics, all of that, okay? And there is a cycle breaker, I believe, in every freaking family, okay? And it's very challenging. And so I can see in my own family that I was, and someone else was also selected to be, and it was too overwhelming for them. So they kind of stepped down from that role and decided to do what the rest of the family is doing so that they could fit in. Okay. And I have so done that at times, my friends. Okay. But overall, I have been the one who has kicked back. All right. And many of you know, when you start speaking truth, you get a lot of kickback. Okay. And however the journey has been, it doesn't like matter, I want to say, because it's always a return to God. And even as many times as you think you've messed up or gotten it wrong, like you're always going to go back to God, and you're always going to be that one who eventually breaks the cycle, who in this lifetime chooses the highest path, the road less traveled, like all of that. Okay. So even if you went back to the comfort zone, to status quo, like you're not going to stay there, because that's just not who you are. Okay. And if you do, it's going to cost you your heart, your spirit, your soul, because you're not that. Got it? Okay. So all that being said, and sometimes it is a fight, and we're fighting for our children, and we're fighting for our children's children, and we're fighting for the truth of humanity, the truth of who we are, to come fully online, claim who we are, own it, and activate the shit out of other people who also are on that path in this lifetime, okay? And it creates a huge ripple effect here, which is why there are plenty agendas, energies, whatever you want to call it, that go against that try to shut that down, okay? And so that's where the warrior comes in. That's where kind of fighting through and busting through and showing up anyway freaking comes in, okay? And again, don't beat yourself up for going back to the comfort zone for a little bit, or just saying, I am so tired. Like I need 6 weeks of rest, or I need 3 weeks of rest. It's okay. And eventually you're going to get back on and get back out there and get back activated to your next level, or to even your highest truth. Okay. So that being said, can you look at a time where you were incredibly sparked, physical body so great, eyes lit up? That's how you always know. That's how you know you're activated. Okay. And possibly your physical body shed like a ton of weight and returned back to its truest natural essence. Now, for those of you who have been a part of my Body Magic program or purchased Body Magic, that's what I talk about in there. And at that moment in time, I was in that space of returning to my original natural blueprint, okay? So my body shed all this weight. It was like super, super thin. And then I got to decide, like, is that my highest level, or was that just like a shedding away of all this stuff? And now I get to create a physical vessel, because we can create our physical vessel. We know that through the food we eat, through the weights we lift, through the exercise we do. Like, body sculpting is a very real thing, right? And so I got to ask myself my question, like, did I want to stay there, or was it going to shift? And then I shifted environments, which also then shifted how I ate and my energy and all of those things, okay? And many of you know that when you're in warm weather, when you're by the beach, when you're by the ocean, you're eating very differently than if you're living in a cold climate or in the Midwest or whatever that is, okay? But you also have to tune into your body, no matter where you are, and say, what does my body need and what is best for my body? And what happens when you're in the shift and in ascension and in getting into these lighter energies, you need more and more fruit. And I'm not saying massive amounts of fruit, but you need hydration, you need fruit, and those are the essentials for our life, okay? Like citrus fruit, lemon, limes, watermelon, and then things like berries, grapes, all of that. Like, you're gonna crave that so much, and you're gonna realize how essential that is to life, okay? And then you're gonna gain energy from the sun, from being out in nature. You're gonna realize that, and you're gonna realize when you eat the meats and the cheeses and the potatoes are good in a sense, but like some of that heavier stuff that then you're gonna want, it's almost like it creates stress in the body. And then you're gonna think that you need to go and exercise it all off, okay? So it's like, it creates so much more, I wanna say dis-ease in our system, because then we have to take more time to try to burn that stuff out of our system, right? And we'll even notice it, like how our skin changes when we're eating that stuff versus when we're just eating fruit, how our bowel movements are when we're eating that stuff versus when we're eating fruit, okay? And if your body is toxic, your shit is going to stink. I'm just gonna leave it at that. And that is not freaking normal, my friends, okay? And I have seen this in my own body, but I've also observed it from the people around me, okay? When I'm living in close proximities with others. If your shit stinks, your body is toxic. Got it? Simple as that, okay? And I'm not judging at all, because like I have had that too, but that is not normal, okay? We should be having clean poops. I'm just gonna say that. And if we're not, it's because of what we're consuming. It's because of what's in here or what's stuck in our intestines or what's in there. Now, I don't believe you have to go buy a cleanse kit. That's so funny. Cleanse your clit, everybody. I believe all you freaking need, because I have done it, is citrus fruit and water. That's how you cleanse. And for me, like, I need a little bit of food. And so what I was doing this winter was like some, steamed peas for lunch, like a little bit. I was doing some yogurt and fruit in the morning, but again, a little bit when I was cleansing, okay? And if you can do just water, and if you want to do a water fast, if you want to do a lemon water fast, if you want to like make it your own. But if you're also someone who does need a little bit of food, then just own that. But when you're eating clean food, everything about you is clean. Your dreams are clean. Your thoughts are clean. Your house has to be clean. You're going to get all the clutter, all the shit out of it. Like, yes, your life is fucking clean, my friends. Doesn't mean you don't say an F word here and there. That's not what it's about, but you get what I'm saying, right? Okay, so toxic shit is not normal. Let's stop making it normal, okay? But you don't know that if you've only ever been in low energetic environments, if you've only ever been in toxic environments, okay? And of no judgment at all. And so maybe the question is like, well, why didn't you stay in your highest gene expression? I so wanted to. And things were just shifting, you know? Like, I don't think I claimed it fully. I don't think I owned it fully. And I don't think I knew what would happen when I got out in the world in my highest expression. That so many like people, energy, and overwhelm would be coming at me, because it's very rare for someone to be out there in their highest expression. And so the things that come at you, I didn't know this until the last time I got out there, can be really overwhelming once you start seeing it all, once you start understanding it all, okay? But now that I know, now I can approach it differently when I'm out in the world, when I am in that highest expression, which is a lot of light and a lot of energy that people aren't used to, and a lot of beauty and a lot of radiance, okay? Now I know some things to do to not have to run and hide, or to not have to shut it down. Or this is my truth in the past as well, and I think some of you can relate to this, having, like, I gained probably 20 pounds in like less than a month to hide, because I was like, okay, if they can't see me, they won't know who I truly am. So let me put some weight on so I can go back and hide. Why do we hide? Because it's, again, scary when people can see who you truly are, and maybe they want your medicine, or they know you have something that they need. They freaking sometimes, my friends, come at you so hard and so strong. And that's why it's so overwhelming. So that's why we hide, okay? And so you think like that it's freaking easy being like who we are. No, it's not, okay? But also, like, we have a duty here and we have a calling here. So at some point we're going to have to learn how to be out in the world in our fullest, highest expression without having to shut it down, or without having to have extra weight on us, or without having to hide any of it, okay? So that being said, as you know, lifestyle will activate the dormant genes either in the highest expression or in the lower expressions of cancer, disease, and illness, okay? Lifestyle, it's all about lifestyle. Like, I just read 70% of it is lifestyle. I want to bump that up to 80 to 90% of it is lifestyle. And that 10 to 20% of it is family genes. But again, those genes are dormant unless they are activated by stress. Stress is such a huge one. Extreme stress in your life will lead to, as you know, many different illnesses and diseases, okay? Being disconnected from our spirit absolutely leads to depression. Not being able to move into the unknown and like worrying too much about the future is what anxiety is, okay? Not being able to be our true, full, authentic self is what leads to so many of what they would say like mental illnesses. Having overwhelm, overstimulation, there's where ADHD is. There's where ADD is, my friends. We are so freaking overstimulated by caffeine, by online stuff, by the world being incredibly noisy. And for those of us who are highly sensitive, or even possibly on the autism spectrum, because I've been asking that about myself lately, because I'm like, wow, my sensitivity is through the freaking roof. And what I need to learn to manage is not always isolating myself to be alone, and that's when I feel the best, but being able to manage it out in the world around other people, because I'm not gonna live my life alone for the next 40 some years, okay? So now I have to learn how to hold my energy, my vibration around other people, being able to connect with them without it affecting my field. Got it? And so that is something that is learned just through experience, just through doing it, just through sitting in the uncomfortableness when there's maybe chaos or noise around us, okay? So all that being said, and here's the thing, my friends, is the silent ones in the rooms usually have the most knowledge, usually have the most awareness, usually are observing the most, and there's a reason for that, right? Because they're probably an old soul, because they probably like have some deep, rich wisdom that they just don't talk just to talk. You know what I mean? Like, they talk when there's meaning. They talk when there's something to be expressed. There's whatever. And also, it's important to have a shit ton of fun along the way, okay? And to be lighthearted and playfulness and all of that. But so kind of wrapping this up, I just want to give the information and knowledge that your highest gene expression is what we're going after. That's not like, that's what people are going after you for though, because they want that fucking energy. Let me just tell you that. But that's our goal. That's it. And when you get there, then not that you stop creating now, no. But that's when like all the magic happens. That's what I'm gonna say. That's when your highest, truest form of you comes online, okay? And again, don't wait until that happens to create. No, you keep creating through every level that you move through, no freaking matter what, because that's what's gonna help you get there faster, okay? But you also say, okay, this is when I'm most activated. This is when I feel the best. This is what my body craves. This is what my body needs. Okay, got it. And honestly, if you haven't tried the fruit thing yet, try it. Just try it. Like cut the meats and cheeses, cut all that stuff, like try fruit and see what it does for you. Not excessive though, because fruit does have a lot of sugar. But again, that's what I found, And then when I needed some vegetables or when I needed some Greek yogurt for protein, I would have that, some nuts, that type of stuff. But it was a really interesting journey of what I saw happen with my body, my energy, my funniness, my humor, my banter, like all of that stuff that started activating to the highest essence of who I was. The reality is I just didn't hold it long enough, or I shifted environments probably too quickly to have it fully anchor in. But I can access it again at any point in time, and I know that, okay? And it's not extreme dieting. It's not extreme exercising, my friends. It's literally like our truest default setting that we can surrender into, that we can lean into at any time and just say, yes, this, right? And that I don't choose to live like these people or eat like these people or have this reality or have this stress or carry these burdens that they're carrying, because it's not fucking mine. And I'm here to do something so different in this lifetime. And I'm gonna own that, and I'm gonna live that, and I'm gonna embody that. And it is going to activate a shit ton of people when I own that fully. Got it? And I'm saying that for every single one of us. This is not just about me. It's simply an activation going out to all of you to also help you remember. Much love, many blessings. Thank you so much for being here and receiving this info, this message, and I will see you all again very soon.